Laura, I have never in my life seen so many adult women wearing overalls. Do they think they are babies? Do they think they are a big baby?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. You are a legend, and I'm so honored.
What are you talking about? Thank you very much. That's nice of you to say.
How
you
That's
doing?
just the truth. I'm great.
Well, you are too, man. I mean, you are. I'm not at all. You are. Because I was telling you before we turned the microphones on that when they said you were coming on the show, I said, oh, okay. And I'm sure we're having someone from TikTok on the show. That sounds good to me.
Well, you sound a little disappointed.
No, I wasn't. I was like, sure,
okay.
you know, I'll do what's asked of me. And then when I saw the videos, I was like, oh, I know her. I know her from TikTok and I know her from Instagram. So it's really cool to have you here.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Well, I'm going to let you know. It's all down. It's all downhill from here. Also,
perfect.
I asked Jen, our producer, if you were punctual, and you were. And then because one of my favorite videos you do is when your dad, how your dad the night before a trip.
Oh right, yes. He won't go to sleep. He'll sleep in his clothes. It's a whole stress thing. Yeah.
And we were like, I wonder when her dad would have shown up to this interview, like 3 hours before.
3 hours ago. You would have been at Mo for coffee.
Just
on John.
sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
So 700,000 TikTok followers. Let's talk a little bit about the journey to get here. So you studied at theater at University of Victoria?
That's right.
How did you end up at UVic?
I was born in Italy and Italian father, German mother, but we moved around a lot, lived in a bunch of different countries because of my mom's job.
Where'd you live?
We lived in Cameroon, Azerbaijan, China, and Vietnam.
How long each time?
6 years in Cameroon, 3 years in Azerbaijan, 5 years in China, and then 3 years in Vietnam.
That's not easy for a kid.
Yeah. I was an only child too, so lots of moving around, lots of friends changing. But then I graduated from high school and I'd been in North America, but I never lived here or ever had real experience here. And I just wanted to come to North America for the quintessential college experience.
Right.
So I went to Victoria, BC.
How did you land on Victoria, BC?
To be honest, my high school counselor had a poster of the campus on her wall, and it looked really beautiful. And I sort of assumed it would be. And it was.
Yeah, it is lovely out there. So you studied theater.
Yeah.
And like more traditional theater.
Yes, like classical theater.
So tell me the story because there's a story here about how you ended up getting into comedy.
Yeah. So I had always thought that I'd be more of a classical actor. And after my bachelor's in theater school, I would go on to do more extensive training. So I thought, where's the best place to go? And I decided to audition for Juilliard, the drama school.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. I was going to say it's not known, but it is known.
it's an obscure theater school in New York City.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, black box.
And I hear I think they're trying to get on their feet a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what's going
they're
on.
looking for funding.
They're doing. There's a GoFundMe for Juilliard happening right now.
There is.
A lot of people don't know that.
It's so true.
I recommend you join. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, hey, if I'm going to do this theater thing, I'm going to go to the creme de la creme.
Yeah. I'm going to try. I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
I signed up to audition because first you send in an essay and then they run auditions in Chicago, New York, and LA every year. San Francisco every year.
Yeah.
My first year I went to New York and made it through a bit of the process and then eventually got denied. And then I decided to audition another year in a row the following year and went to Chicago this time to audition.
Yeah.
Side note, completely bombed this one.
What did you do?
You had to do a classical monologue and then a contemporary monologue. And I think I did Helena from Midsummer Night's Dream. And I started, I think, with my contemporary monologue. And you never want to hear this in a room. You walk in, they're like, okay, great, go. And I'll start my thing. And then in the back of the room, you just sort of hear... just a weary breath, just sigh, and you think, "Oh God, that's not me. I'm not it."
Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, the Juilliard dreams may not come true.
May not come true. Coincidentally, and I don't know if this is fate. Do you believe in Destiny?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Sure.
Okay.
For the purposes of this interview, yes.
Okay. That very trip, I believe it was that very night, I wasn't feeling so great about my mega bomb. And, I'd sort of peripherally heard about Second City and the sort of North American sketch comedy and that style. Never really looked into it. And Chicago, the birthplace, I thought, oh, this looks fun. It might cheer me up. And I had a bit of a epiphany in the theater watching the main stage cast that night. I was in awe at what I saw, and I could not believe what they were doing. I couldn't believe this was possible. I had no idea this was an art form that could be done that way. And I thought, oh God, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then since then, I lived in Victoria for another year after, produced my own Second City style sketch show, which was terrifyingly horrible. And
not just terrifying, but
No.
terrifyingly horrible. So horrible it was terrifying.
Yes.
Right.
And then moved to Toronto because there's a Second City here. And that's why I moved here.
And you started doing...
Yeah, I started doing classes. I did their conservatory program. I did all the classes I could from all of the other comedy theaters that offered them.
Yeah.
And then I started to produce my own shows, and then I wrote my first hour, and I did it, and then did sketch festivals, and went back to the States and performed, or I did San Francisco and Chicago Sketch Fest, and then...
Was it going okay?
Was it going okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going great.
It was going all right.
It was
Live comedy was going well.
It was going well. I felt like I was on a path, and I had found, and I was discovering, and then COVID hit, and everything stopped.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to make videos.
So you were inside.
Yeah.
Couldn't perform anymore. This momentum that you had built up that was really starting to happen all kind of went away, and you say to yourself, what? Okay, well, I'm going to start making sketches for what? For TikTok, for Instagram?
TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, short form reels and TikToks.
The first ones weren't so personal, right?
The first ones were...
They were more classic sketches? Or were they about your family?
Oh, no. The first ones were more classic sketches. I was really trying to figure out what my style was going to be. It was a big struggle at first to make videos. It's totally different than writing a stage sketch. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
What was the sketch that blew up? What was the sketch that did better than your friends and your family liking it?
So...
I like how you nod, by the way, when I ask the question.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I know.
I know that.
I know the answer to the question.
And I will answer now. Get ready. It was like a couple of sketches that were kind of doing better than the others. That being what you look like when you put money in a street musician's guitar case. And the other one being what people say when they find out I'm from Italy. Those were kind of building a bit more momentum.
What do people say when they find out you're from Italy?
It's basically Girl Who Just Got Back from Italy, like the first rendition of that series. It's like prototype 1. They're like, I can't believe you sound like me. You should sound like this. Ciao, bella mamma mia. And they're going, and then people also, the three Ps, people always bring out the three Ps. Oh my God, the pasta, the people, the presents. Yeah. Yeah.
The pasta, the people, and the presents.
Yeah.
Truly.
And
okay, so these do well.
These do pretty well. And then I think a couple of weeks after that, I posted my first German mom sketch, which was what my German mom says when she visits me in Canada. And that really was the first full viral one. And then everything else kind of followed.
I promise I'm not going to do this the whole interview.
What?
But can you tell me what your German mom says
Oh, yeah.
when she visits you in Canada?
Laura, I have never in my life seen so many adult women wearing overalls. Do they think they are babies? Do they think they are a big baby? Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I won't get you to do it.
Oh, you
the whole
can.
interview. Okay.
It's okay.
Then I will.
It's okay.
Tell me about your folks. These are your folks, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about them. Tell me about your dad first.
Okay, my father. My father's from a small town in northern Italy called Arcole, which is 20 minutes outside of Verona, which is Romeo and Juliet. And, by the way, a girl who finds out I'm from Italy goes, oh my God, that's Romeo and Juliet. part of that sketch. And he sort of grew up in a very small town, very Catholic family, traditional farmer's son. And then sort of had his own epiphany in some sort of way and decided that living there and following the traditional lifestyle was not going to be for him. So he left and started working with NGOs in his 30s and started traveling. And actually, he met my mom then when he lived in Burundi.
Didn't he have a theater background?
Yes, he did. He also, prior to that, went to theater school in Bologna and then was performing as a comedian actor in a troupe for a while in Italy.
So you had some kind of knowledge or some kind of like, maybe the word is maybe even acceptance that like, oh, a life in the arts, a life in theater is okay because my dad wanted to have one for a while.
That is what you would assume. I think...
Only now am I realizing that would have made sense.
Yeah, that would have made sense. Except yes, but except no. Here's what I'll say is I think my parents need proof. And so it was like, show us that you can do this before you quit everything else and do it.
Yeah.
It was more like, let that overtake what you're already doing because it's going so well.
Yeah.
Kind of a very logic forward.
I guess that did happen.
Yeah, it did. It did. And then they saw and they realized this is possible.
It was good.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mom.
My mom grew up in Germany.
Where in Germany?
In a small town called Weinheim, outside of Frankfurt. Mm-hmm. And she went to medical school later in Poland, but she became a surgeon, and she worked in hospitals in Germany for some time.
Right.
Actually, my mom is an astounding woman, incredibly disciplined, incredibly hardworking. Went to medical school in Poland and taught herself Polish throughout. And then also similarly to my father, after some time of working just the medical grind or the hospital grind in Germany, decided she wanted more, quit, went back to school to get a master's degree in infectious diseases, specifically against tuberculosis, and then moved to Burundi to begin her NGO work. And that's where she met my dad.
In all seriousness, you must have been very aware that your parents were very impressive, disciplined, but very impressive people.
Yeah, I was. It was very inspiring, intimidating, all at once. Yeah.
What is the experience like of having to switch? Not just, I mean, it's hard enough to switch schools in a town or in a province, to switch schools and switch countries every 5 or 6 years.
I think I would say it was easier as in elementary school, but then once you get to the middle school, high school age, it's more challenging. It's hard to leave friends and friend circles, of course. And I always thought I won't move like my parents do. And I've been in Canada for 10 years. I just love having more of a root and more of a base. Looking back, it was very, it made me who I am and made me adaptable, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But it had its challenges, for sure.
Did it make you funny?
I think it made me, do you think it did?
I mean, I don't know you very well. I'm only getting to know you now. I mean, I don't know why. I've never been asked that question before, but let me see.
Are you going to nod?
Yeah, I'm going to nod. I will answer this now.
Yes, good.
I think that when you find yourself all right, I can say personally, when I found myself in uncomfortable situations in school, whether people were picking on me or whether I had a new class or I didn't know I switched schools, I didn't switch countries, I switched schools. Being funny helped me get along with people and be accepted a little bit sooner and get people off my back a little bit. So maybe that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. I don't know why I gave the mic back to you. I think
You know what? About time someone did.
about time someone heard
Yeah.
your life story, Tom. Yeah. How are you? Where
No,
did you?
you know what? No one ever asks me these
Right,
goddamn
right.
questions.
Yeah, take control. I always thought that I became funny because of natural and normal growing pains of the difficulty of being super tall or not conventionally attractive or being very awkward in middle school. I always thought that. But I do think that my upbringing has something to do with specifically the kind of comedy that I love to make, which is very observational comedy on like the day-to-day life and the people we meet on our day-to-day. I mean, I'm not a political comedian, or I don't really talk about many huge world issues. But I think that's because when we lived in so many countries and I was forced to coexist with people from so many different cultures and backgrounds, the things that we could relate upon were your everyday, relatable human behavior.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
the hot button issues of the time, but
No.
what our parents say to us.
Yes.
Or how insufferable our friend is.
Correct.
Or that kind of thing.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
I mean, what a gift.
Yeah, I feel very lucky to I feel lucky that I enjoy that kind of comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it leads me to understand maybe why you're so good at the person who just came back from Berlin, girl just came back from New York. There's another one.
Amsterdam, France, Italy.
What's your favorite one of those?
I had so much fun doing Australia.
Can you give me a little bit?
Yeah.
This is the girl who just came back from Australia.
Yeah. Do I want a coffee? Oh, God, no. I'll have a flat white. Oh, do I have an accent? No, I don't. I don't have an accent. No. What are you talking about? The sunburn. The sunburn is my jacket. Yeah.
I understand that now. I mean, you've experienced a lot of these people
Yes.
over the years doing
Yeah,
the kind of work
I
that
have.
you've been doing. I think for people like, I sometimes find TikTok really intimidating. I don't think that's uncommon for someone like me.
No, I don't think that's uncommon for almost anyone. I think people who are on TikTok find TikTok intimidating.
Did you find it
I
intimidating?
do. I don't open
still
the
do?
app. I don't open the app unless I'm posting.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I find scrolling through TikTok and seeing the content that people are doing highly intimidating. It makes me question what I'm doing. It makes me question, am I doing good enough or am I trying hard enough? And I don't like that.
But you have to be one of the most successful TikTokers in terms of the videos you put up, at least from Canada.
I like to keep grounded by staying off it because then I'm not influenced by what others are doing.
Yeah.
If I see somebody, for example, I've had issues with this where I get in my head about the amount of times I'm posting, because TikTok is very like lots of people post every single day, sometimes multiple times a day.
Yikes.
And by nature of what my videos are, it just takes me like 20 hours to edit one video, and I can't do that. So if I spend time on TikTok, I start to feel bad about how much I'm posting. I'll do about once a week. But I'd like to stay off because it messes with my process.
Tell me about your process. So I think that people like me who are unfamiliar with I'm on the platform a lot, but I don't post myself. I think people would think that it's like 30 seconds of just holding up a camera to your face and doing a video and then posting it right away. 20 hours of editing. Talk to me a little bit through from can you do from idea to posting?
Yeah. So what happens is I have on my notes app a list of ideas that I jot down anytime I think of something or I see somebody. Usually happens when I'm on the TTC or that's the subway for American listeners.
And for non-Toronto listeners. So thank you for doing that. I was just about to do it.
Okay, great. I work here now.
You can have this job. I'm going to go have a nap.
I think so, please. Or when I'm on the subway or when I'm in the grocery store, I see someone or I experience something that I think, oh, that's interesting or funny, and I'll put it on my notes app. And then I sort of, at the beginning of the week or the week prior, think, what am I going to post next weekend, usually at the end of the week. And basically then I'll beat out a script based on that premise.
So you're writing, you're not improvising, you're writing jokes.
I'm doing both.
Okay.
So I'll have a loose script of what I want. Then I'll film and I'll say the lines that I want to hit. And then I always end up just improvising, loose improvisation.
So the camera by yourself, camera on a stand, you standing in front of it, you have a list of things that a girl who just got back from New York I'm such a New Yorker, like you have that written down.
That exactly.
But
that
you
line.
but you have other things you're just going to make up in the moment.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll have my computer on the side and there's just a blank wall behind me. And I'll go through the lines and then improvise. And it'll be like 20 to 30 minute raw file.
No.
Yeah. Of which the longer it goes, the more I feel inside me a sense of disgust at the length of the video that I then will have to edit.
Down to what, 45 seconds?
Maximum 1 minute.
Maximum 1
Yes.
minute. Okay, so you have 30 minutes of raw footage that you have to, and then the editing begins. Just best jokes, right?
Just best jokes. And the thing is, the script that I've made is just hitting the lines because in the editing comes so much of like the order changes. I add jokes that are just added through editing. Like I like to cut. For example, a character will say something 3 times, and the third time I'll cut it in the middle of her sentence, like I'll cut her off.
Yeah.
Just to increase in terms of comedic timing, but that only happens in editing. I don't really have an idea of that when I'm filming.
By the way, can I kind of tell you, I find that so funny, that editing that you do when like, and I find it funny when kind of anyone does this on TikTok, when like there's a funny line that's cut off halfway through. Do I sound like I'm a million years old right now?
No, actually, you sound like me. So am I a million years old?
Yes.
Okay.
yes. We are here together.
Yeah. So the editing has so much potential, and it can be so overwhelming because it can make the same footage can be made into so many different iterations of video.
Right.
And then, it'll take me on average 15 to 20 hours to edit one video.
What's TikTok fame like? Because I'm just thinking about how, like I said, like I didn't know you by name, but when I saw you, I went, "Oh my God, that's her! I know her from TikTok." Do you get a lot of that, like sitting down having dinner and someone you're the, you know?
Yeah. People come up to me and recognize me from Instagram and TikTok. Just the other day, I was in the grocery store, and a woman comes up to me and she said, "I've been watching you, and I have to say, you are a little more serious than I thought. I thought you were going to be walking around these, grocery store aisles doing funny things." And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what could I do? What? Just slip on a banana peel or
Roll
like
honeydew
squirt
melon
flour?
down.
Yeah. So there's that. But
squirt flour, like having one of those squirt
like
flowers.
what sort of gags am I? I'm like, what sort of hijinks am I getting up to at the grocery store? But yeah, and that's been so interesting. But everyone is so nice, and I love talking to people, and it's been such a joy, really. Yeah.
I mean, it's really fascinating. Also, I would be so disheartened, not disheartened, but discomforted if someone came up to me and the first thing they said to me was, "I've been watching you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would.
Well, yeah, I got a message once that said, "I saw you on the bus."
Oh yeah, yeah. I've gotten stuff like that before. Too.
Yeah. So, do people come up to you, and what do they say?
I've never had so many questions asked to me in my entire life,
sorry.
but I am into it.
Okay.
This is fun for me. People are, oh my God, CBC people, they cannot be nicer.
Right.
And kinder and warmer, and people who listen to the CBC, they actually own it. Like you pay taxes, you own the CBC.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a camaraderie there. I kind of work for them, and we get to talk about the show and stuff like that. And sometimes they correct my grammar, which is less fun. But what are you gonna do?
Of course.
I can't remember whom all the time.
No, you can't. Also, you work for them, so they should be able to correct you.
Yeah, I know. I just don't want to hear about whom all the time.
You're right. Whomst.
Whom?
To whomst the bell tolls.
Well, now you're going to hear about it. Better you than me.
Oh, okay.
So you're doing a live show.
Yeah.
So is it that TikTok is a joyful and you love it, and I guess it's become an income for you too.
Yeah.
But you still want to keep on doing live theater.
Totally, yeah. Instagram and TikTok, they came out of necessity from the pandemic. Obviously have become their own thing that has changed my life completely, and I love doing it. But going back to live comedy has always been the goal, and it's my favorite thing to do in the world, yeah.
So where did the show Frances come from?
So my first hour I wrote in 2019 was called Diane, and I did that at the Bad Dog Comedy Theater. And then through COVID, I knew I wanted to write another show. And I thought, how cool would it be? And you can tell me if it's cool or not.
I'm prepared to be asked. I'm ready to be asked questions like I've never been asked before. Okay. This is Dragon's Den. I'm ready for your pitch. I'll tell you whether it's any good or not.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So this is this show or this is the other show? This is Frances.
Frances.
Okay.
How cool would it be if the next hour I write would also be, the title would also be a name?
Okay, I think it's cool.
Dragon's Den?
Dragon's Den. I'm the Boston Pizza guy, and I go, yes. Yes, sounds good to me.
So that was like very superficial, but then it became something real. When I got, I asked my director to be involved, Alistair Forbes, who is incredible. We started creating this show together that I'm deeply proud of. That the big goal for me, because my first show had been just purely a sketch show, sketch.
Okay.
But this one is a sketch show with a narrative arc built on top of it too, which was such a delicious challenge. And I'm very proud of that. So that was the big goal for this.
What's the narrative arc?
So the narrative arc is our main character, Frances, at the beginning of the show, gets a call from her ex-boyfriend, Frank, and he's asked her to talk. Frank has broken up with her 2 months prior to this time and basically ghosted her. She hasn't heard from him since, and now he's just calling out of the blue to talk. And so basically that's where we see Frances going to this meeting point to meet him, and along the way she meets a bunch. We dip into sketch territory. She meets a bunch of different characters. We meet German Mom. We see the 3 girls who just got back from Europe, and a bunch of other classic sketches that I've written that I've interweaved throughout this show and throughout her journey to the meeting point.
What's interesting to you about reconnecting with an ex in that premise?
What's interesting to me is based on my own experience and all of my friends in their 20s, there's always been this sort of story about a long-term adult ex-boyfriend broke up with you out of the blue seemingly and just ghosted you, and then 2 months later sends you that message, that quintessential message, hey, listen, I was wondering if you want to talk. And you're like, what could he possibly want to say to me at this time?
Right.
And if he's been blocked, or if it's not, what I find the most interesting about this is a lot of the time it's like he's contacting you in a way you've never been contacted before in your life, like email or a handwritten letter. The amount of ex-boyfriends who've written my friends handwritten letters after they broke up.
Interesting. They're like Marshall McLuhan. They just change up the medium.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. No, this is better. This is deeper. She'll listen to me.
So, and because the characters from the TikTok shows are in the TikTok shows. Oh my God.
The TikTok shows.
I'm so old.
The TikTok shows.
From the TikTok shows.
Yes.
That are part of the. Those little shows you do on the phone?
Yeah. The phone shows.
The phone shows.
Yeah, the radio shows.
The radio show. Hey, this is a radio show. Oh,
right,
God.
sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh my God, it's a podcast.
Want to take a break?
It's a podcast.
Do you need a moment?
No, I'm all right. I'll be okay. I just did like a Benjamin Button. The end of Benjamin Button where he gets really, really old at one,
I've only seen the first 10 minutes.
Well, I won't spoil it for you. I tell you one thing I can tell you about it stays like that the whole time.
Right.
Who he is in the first 10 minutes.
Just stays like that?
Stays like that the whole time.
I know it's Brad Pitt with some CGI.
Nothing changes.
Okay.
He's whatever age he is when you first meet him, the whole time.
Is he, I'm going to say something so stupid. Is he button maker?
Yeah. Yeah. His name's Benjamin Button, and he makes buttons. Yeah. That's what the whole movie's about. It's about a guy who stays the same age and makes buttons for a living.
Good.
So for your TikTok shows,
Yeah.
Oh, God. I was wondering whether you felt any pressure for people who might be used to coming to see you for 45 seconds at a time on their phone, coming to see, what I'm guessing is 90 minutes. But it sounds like those people would be, maybe I'll ask the question. Do you feel any pressure that way?
Yeah, I did. When I was first writing the show, I knew I was writing a sketch, a piece for live theater, and whoever would come into the theater, I would hope that they would enjoy the things that I've sprinkled in for them that come from online. But overall, I would just hope that they've had an entertaining evening. I did find pressure, especially when it came to adding the characters that people love from TikTok and Instagram, like German mom and Italian dad. Those characters originally were written for the short form TikTok medium, and now writing them for stage, it's a completely different process. But I wanted to make sure that I hit the things that people love about the characters anyway, just in this different format. And I hope I've done that. I think I've done that. And I know from how the show's gone in the past that people have enjoyed it. But it was a big thing for me. I wanted to make sure people got what they wanted.
And now you're going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, the biggest theater festival in the world, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it's well deserved. How are you feeling about it?
Really excited. People have told me it's like entering it's like its own living ecosystem for a month. You're just doing a show. I'm doing 27 shows back to back, and you're just living it, and everyone's doing that many shows, and there's parties and events and people to meet, and I think you just really have to lean in. I'm so excited to just live that reality and to come back being the girl who just come back from the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
That's going to be the girl who just came back from Scotland?
Yeah.
You'll be looking for haggis everywhere?
That's right. I'm trying to find a joke, but I know nothing about Scotland now.
You could do. I've been there.
Oh, you've been there?
I've been there.
I've been there. I'm from Quebec and I've been to Scotland.
No, I've been there.
You've been there.
What do you want me to say? I have visited.
Whom I am.
I have visited Scotland.
Yeah. So
on a number of
what's
occasions.
a thing I can put in
I'm
a
not going to tell you now.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to tell you now. I tell you that much. Oh, you could do. They deep fry everything over there. They deep fry pizza. They deep fry Mars bars. They do.
Okay.
Can I get that deep fry? There you go. You put that in your phone shows.
That's in the phone show.
Phone shows.
Shows
With Tom and Laura. Thanks for coming in.
Oh,
you're
thanks for having me.
really funny.
Oh, I appreciate it so much. You are incredible. You're incredible.
Get out of here.
Okay.
You're incredible. Oh my God.